Σας ευχαριστούμε κύριε Περιφερειάρχα για την παρουσίαση. Λοιπόν, θα δώσουμε το λόγο στον κύριο Γιώργο Μαυραγάνη, Διευθυντή Στρατηγικού Σχεδιασμού της Elval Halcor, και το θέμα με το οποίο θα αναπτύξει είναι Elval Halcor, αλουμίνιο και χαλκός για έναν αηφόρο κόσμο.
National and local dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, journalists, good morning. I'm going to carry out my presentation today in English, keep a form of pluralism for your very important venue today. I'm very honored to be present today, and I very much look forward to all the topics that will be discussed. I'd like to quote something that J.F. Kennedy said for an interview in 1962 for NBC about journalism. He said, I mentioned that he was the person responsible for sending mankind to the moon and for averting a nuclear thermal war, that he couldn't do his job properly without the presence of a very, very strong press. Very much, therefore, there is no need for me to mention the important role you play. Our esteemed mayor mentioned earlier how important journalists are today, so no need to repeat myself. As my colleague Mr. Lukatos from Sokousou mentioned earlier, we are one of the biggest international companies in the region, but local in the sense that the majority of our units are based in this area. Our company has a long history of nearly 90 years now, and has a number of facilities in this region, but also in Europe, a total of 17 production units. So as you can imagine, we employ a lot of people from the local communities, as well as dealing business with a lot of local suppliers, contributing to the GDP of the nation and also to the growth of the local economy. Very recently, our company, and more specifically our aluminium sector, has invested €250 million in expanding our production capacities, doubling pretty much our production capacity. So one could say that we are very much looking forward to conduct more business in the area and also reinforce further the local economy. As a company, we are listed on the Athens Stock Exchange Index, and from last year, we are also part of the ESG Sustainability Index of the Athens Stock Exchange, which is something that I will also briefly present you later on today. Some numbers, as I'm sure journalists like numbers and hard facts. We are a company of pretty much €3 billion turnover. The majority of our business is exporting. And what is interesting to say at this point is that we do not only sell finished products, but we also sell a lot of semi-finished products, which means that we sell products that go into other products in Europe prior to their manufacture. Therefore, a lot of our added value also goes back to Europe, also goes back into the European economy. Reason for that being, as you will see later on, is that we primarily export to European countries. As a company, we have two major sectors. One, as clearly stated, is aluminium and one is copper. Despite the very adverse economic conditions of the past 15 years now, from Lehman Brothers to the economic crisis back then the adverse conditions of capital controls in Greece, and the very recent financial crisis and energy crisis, and the very unfortunate war in Europe now. Nevertheless, over the past few years, we've managed to grow exponentially as a company, pretty much for the copper sector, doubling our business. And if we were to compare this part of our business with 2008, we have managed to be from a position number 6 in Europe in our sector to being now in position number 1. For the aluminium, which is the biggest market globally than copper, Elval, which is our aluminium sector, has managed to be now in a position number 2 in the whole of Europe. and considering the very big players in the aluminium sector, and that is something that is worth being noted. As I said earlier, the majority of our business is in Europe. Nevertheless, we export to pretty much 90 plus countries all over the world. The added value we give is not only to Greece, but also in Europe, due to the very nature of our products, which means that we support the manufacture of products made in other European countries. Something that you journalists like to talk about a lot, megatrends. We live in a world of very fast transition, in a world that is changing very rapidly, and we see trends that pretty much didn't exist a decade or 2 decades ago. A lot of urbanization, a lot of people are moving into cities. We as a company address this by enabling technologies and giving products for the so-called green buildings. You may have seen some very big projects emerging in Central Europe, in places like Dubai, where buildings have a completely different nature now. They are energy efficient. They have, and they will have in the future, a zero carbon footprint. And obviously to do this, to make this happen, required new technologies and new products are necessary. And I'm very honored to be part of a company that puts a lot of focus, as you will see in a minute, in products that enable such technologies. Enable such technologies for green buildings, as well as energy-saving technologies for heating, and heating is a big issue now, clearly with the energy costs. Enables and makes products for technologies that relate directly to electric cars. I think we all can see now where the trend is going, and we all feel the pain here and in Europe of the exponentially risen energy costs. And clearly, due to the climate change, electric cars is the way forward and the way to the future. And as a company, we enable, with our products, a lot of technologies, from batteries to transition and transport of power in these cars. Also, something that is worth noting is that both aluminium and copper, which are the products we deal with, are fully recyclable. So if we are to consider the consumption of resources on the planet, we aim, and we always will aim, to use as much as recycled products as possible. Both these metals have the benefit of being 100% recyclable. They don't lose that ability no matter how many times you reuse aluminium or copper. So with the trends and the momentum in Greece and in Europe for using recycled products, and also with many projects around circular economy, we also enable the less use and the less consumption of our natural resources, which clearly are becoming more and more scarce. I think we all can see how difficult it is these days to buy a car on time, simply because a lot of natural resources used in cars, okay, one journalist could also say here because of politics as well, but the availability of such resources is not as easy, without a doubt, as it was in the past. There are many other applications where our products enable such technologies for a better and more sustainable world. Namely, I will give you some very brief examples. Something you all know and are accustomed with is the aluminium cans. Our company makes the seat, use the aluminium seat to make aluminium cans, which are fully recyclable and have the benefits that plastic bottles clearly don't have. And it's a commodity product. I think I read recently that about 700 million cans are used daily on average on the planet. So as you can imagine, that's a lot of material, that's a lot of waste, that's a lot of cans, and that's a lot of resources to talk about. In addition to that, our products enable geothermal systems, enables to use energy from the earth, as well as solar energy, and also used in the manufacture of wind turbines. In other words, in technologies that use and enable us to use renewable energy sources and not the classic fossil fuels, which clearly have a bad impact on the environment. As you can see here, the list goes on, but I would not like to take too much more of your time. Nevertheless, we strive as a company to apply and make new products. And many of what you see here are products that have been developed only in the past 5 years to assist our global effort and the commitment of the European Union for a greener economy and zero emissions by 2050, the so-called Green Deal. We put our focus in develop and enable such technologies through our finished and semi-finished products that we provide to the market. So in other words, we like to believe that we give a positive input into all this effort that is ongoing. As a company itself as well, we put a lot of focus and a lot of emphasis on what is called the environmental, social and governance aspects of things. So take away a little bit of what have been discussed in the past 5 minutes on products. We put a lot of emphasis also on protecting clearly the environment. I'm proud to tell you that our company, a local company to this region, was the very first company in Greece that in 2014 attained the ISO for energy management. A few years back, the energy was not as a hot topic as now. Nevertheless, we were the first company in Greece to achieve that and to make long-term strategic plans and objectives and investments in order to reduce energy consumption and optimize the energy usage that we have. In addition to that, last year, we were the first company to implement and attain the water management ISO system. And rest assured that we're all talking about energy now, but I'm pretty certain that in years to come, not long from now, we'll be talking a lot also about water. We take a lot of initiatives to conserve and reuse water. To give you an example, to collect, we have a very big plants, very big units with big roofs. Not only we are investigating the use of solar panels and install solar panels in those big factories that we have that extend for square miles, but also to use the water that is collected from these roofs, to reuse it back in production and save on the water used from the main systems, from the main network in Greece. And I'm proud to tell you that we were the very first company, listed company in Greece, that attained also that standard that proves our commitment and our actions towards that. Also, apart from the environment aspect of things, we very much focus on supporting local communities. I do not like to give you the many examples that I can address. Namely, I will mention for you some very recent examples of actions we did for the local communities. We donated, for example, two automobiles for 2 local hospitals. We also supported our local hospital in health unit at Inofita with a donation on various equipment that they needed to support the health needs in the area. In a couple of weeks, we are planting 500 trees in the Inofita region. We purchased a fire vehicle for the Volunteers Association of Evia, an area that has suffered a lot from fires, as many of you may know, last year. And we are continuously in contact with local authorities and local units to address to the best way possible our supportive actions. Just to tell you that only in the last couple of years, our CAPEX, the money we give back to local communities and local authorities, have tripled in net figures. Therefore, as I said, we try to respond to the best way possible to these needs. Also, we happen to be one of the supporters of today's event, and we continuously do that to support events that address key issues, as the event today on the war in Ukraine and the importance of journalism. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Elval, κορυφαία βιομηχανία έλασης αλουμινίου. Elval, κορυφαία λοιπόν βιομηχανία έλασης αλουμινίου και Halcor, κορυφαία παραγωγός ολίνων χαλκού στην Ευρώπη. Είναι ιδιαίτερη τιμή, θα κάνω εγώ την απονομία. παρακαλώ. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ βέβαια για τη στήριξη. Καθυστερήσαμε τώρα γιατί... Μπράβο.